the human is made up of a soul, and the soul is a very interesting creation of God. It's for God to create the human soul, God has to have known how that soul could have been designed and created and so forth. And how that soul was going to have to experience life somehow in order to learn. Right? So the human soul is the real entity of you. Now when I say you, I'm using that term very loosely, of course, because you are currently a half of you, and most of you are only conscious of a half of you. So the soul is a complete unit. You could call it just an entity. And it exists whether you have emotions or not, whether you have mind or not, whether you have thoughts or not, whether you have a body or not, whether you... It exists in its own right as an entity, whether you have desires or not. All of those things you could say, so there's the entity, and then there's the attributes and characteristics of the entity. One of the primary characteristics of attributes of the entity is its sexual duplicity. And I don't mean duplicity in the way it's used in... it's duplex in nature, right? So what I mean by it is that if we look at it conceptually, I've been drawing it like that, right? And I'm putting in there male, female, but that's not an accurate representation of the sexual duplicity of the soul. It's duplex in nature in that, and it's sexual in nature in that the two halves are attracted sexually to each other, right? But they're not attracted to the male form or the female form. They're attracted to the other half of themselves. So what is termed sexuality on earth is a very interesting concept that is not highly representative of how God views it. Let's call it sexuality of the soul. So the soul has a sexuality. Spell it right first. But it's not in the simplified version that many of us view it, in the sense that you're male or you're female and you're attracted to either the same gender or the opposite gender, right? It's far more nuanced than that. You're actually only attracted to the other half of yourself. In your pure loving state, that's the only attraction you'll experience. So there'll be nothing like, oh, I'm attracted to women or I'm attracted to men, right? It'll be, I'm attracted to the other half of myself, whomever that is. All other forms of attraction are addictions. So if you find yourself attracted to many women or many men, then they're all addictions. Because that's not the way you've actually been designed to function. Right? So when we talk about sexuality, it'd probably be better to call it soulmate-ality. Because that's really what the attraction is. It's the attraction to the other half of your soul. Right? When you find yourself attracted to... So if the other half of your soul is dominantly female, you will find yourself attracted to their body, the female form. That's the reality, you will. But it's only the female form because that you're attracted to will be the body your other half of your soul's in, not everybody's body. If that makes sense. But you will find everybody, if your soulmate attraction is to the female, and it doesn't matter whether you're a male or female, you will find that you feel the female form is more beautiful to look at, more fascinating to you. But that's only because the other half of your soul is fascinating because it's connected to that body. Make sense? So your attractions, so we can call them, well, part of the attribute is your attraction. And here I'm talking about a romantic attraction. Is not attraction to the gender you're interested in, but it's an attraction to your soulmate who is of that gender. So this is a fundamental part about soul. So the soul has these attributes and characteristics, one of its primary attributes and characteristics, you could say, is its sexuality, or it'd be more appropriate to call it its romantic attraction. And the romantic attraction is, in its pure state, only for the other half of itself. And there's a very good reason for that, in that the other half of yourself is all of the things that you have been created to experience. The other half of yourself is also the epitome of those things. So there's a reason for the attraction. Like the attraction is based upon the fact that both of you, at your soul, your fundamental levels, both of you have the same desires, same passions, same longing, same interests, same personality, same nature. And that part of you is a very important part in terms of bringing your two halves together. It's there, or it's already there fundamentally when you're separated at birth, which we'll talk about in a minute, but then at conception. But when you come together, it's about recognizing yourself and then recognizing the other person who is the same as yourself. Right? So it's fundamentally about loving yourself. Interesting. In order for the human soul to be complete, it has to learn to love itself completely. Now, for many of you, it's easier for you to love someone else other than you. Do you find that?
Yep.
Like sometimes it's easier for you to go, look at yourself in the mirror and not that attracted to yourself. Look at somebody else and look at them and go, well, they're very, lovely, that kind of thing. You're more interested in, and your attractions, even your sexual attractions, are more interested in the other person than being interested in self. This is in disharmony with the law of love about self. So fundamentally, one of the reasons why the two halves of the soul incarnate separately is so that they learn they have the other half that they need to love, so that they learn how to love themselves, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So God's trying to train you into loving yourself. And one way that God created to do that is to create a burning emotional desire in the two halves to love the other half. And this causes you to come to love yourself with much more passion and desire than what you would do if there wasn't the other half, And you think about that. Isn't that been your experience when you've had a romantic relationship? You do feel like putting the person ahead of you to a large degree, right? You do feel these things, which partially are bits and pieces of love are involved in this, right? But it's also training you or teaching you certain things about what love would do in this relationship you have with the other half. So the fundamental purpose of your design, your very scientific, you could say, design, is that you learn how to come to love yourself by coming to be a part of your other half.